Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. I've got 3 stories to share with you in this latest Moon Lambo hot jam. And you know what? In some ways, it's the end of a completely garbage era. Because the SEC, I'll tell you this, the SEC, in many ways, has lost its power and momentum regarding its efforts to destroy the entire cryptocurrency asset class, which is always a fool's errand. Like you were never going to actually pull that off, but still they have the audacity required to actually try to do such a thing. But you know, the in terms of the political tides here, everything's waning. You know, the political support that the SEC has had, it's gone. You've got people, representatives of both sides of the political aisle pushing back against the SEC. And yes, there are always some that will be in support, like Elizabeth Warren, for example. But more and more, you're seeing to push back against it. The writing is on the wall, and nobody actually wants to be on the losing team when everything is all said and done. And so that, in conjunction with devastating defeats in the courtroom, it's resulted in the very different landscape today than it was even just a year ago. And there's actually an instance I'm going to share with you that shows that the SEC has broken the law yet again. I'm going to share with you perspective from attorney John Deaton on that. I'm going to give you a quick update on the SBF lawsuit, which is winding down. And then there is also this headline from Cointelegraph I'll share at the end of the video. You guys remember Safemoon, which was not safe? It was an actual scam. That was a rug pull. Well, here's the headline. Safemoon executive team charged with multiple fraud counts, arrests made. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, before getting into any of that, I just want to give a quick shout-out to attorney John Deaton. I'm sure by now pretty much all of you are aware that John Deaton recently released his book, Food Stamp Warrior, which is a memoir. And it was released under Brass Knuckle Books, which is a publisher which he actually co-founded. And the news broke just the other day that the Audible version of the book is actually available. So if you're one of those people that doesn't like to read, you have no excuse. You should definitely pick this thing up. You'll have the man reading it to you himself, so you could listen while you're driving or walking your dog or whatever. And so here is the announcement from Brass Knuckle Books. Beyond excited to announce that John Deaton's Food Stamp Warrior audiobook is live worldwide. Read by the man himself and filled with bonus chapters, including the much anticipated debut rap single. Now, I have the hardcover copy, not the Audible one, although I should probably think about getting that because I am too curious. I have to hear the debut rap single from attorney John Deaton, which is a real thing. It's a rap from John Deaton from, I think he said 35 years ago, and he said that you have to judge it for the time in which it was created. And fair enough, that's true of all music, though. But I am incredibly curious. And so you actually get that included if you get this version of the book. And I thought this is super cool, too. Here's a picture of John Deaton. So if you can look at your at whatever device you're watching this on, give it a gander here. This is so cool. This is attorney John Deaton. And he's in New York's Times Square, and there's a big old advertisement for his book directly behind him. Isn't that the coolest damn thing? And so, look, attorney Deaton did not ask me to push his book on my channel, but I'll tell you what. I can't think of a single person in the XRP community that deserves our support more than attorney John Deaton. So if you haven't gotten the book yet, do yourself a favor. I mean, it is one of those books where you're going to have a hard time setting it down. It is truly raw in certain parts, like a lot of it, but it'll definitely keep you engaged, and you'll find it fascinating. So pick up that, and again, if you're too lazy to read, just have him read it to you. It's like a fun little bedtime story. You can do it. All right, now into this from the USGAO, which is the U.S. Government Accountability Office. They posted the following yesterday. Securities and Exchange Commission, applicability of the Congressional Review Act to Staff Accounting Bulletin number 121. Well, that sounds innocuous. What might that mean? Well, take a look at this breakdown from attorney Jake Chervinsky, who works as the Chief Policy Officer at Blockchain Association. He broke down what this is, and it's literally the SEC breaking the law. Check this out. This is huge. The GAO reviewed SAB 121, an illogical anti-crypto accounting bulletin issued by the SEC last March, and found that it's a rule, quote unquote, under the CRA and APA. The SEC didn't comply with either. This is a clear statement from a federal agency that the SEC broke the law. SAB 121 basically required crypto custodians to double count digital asset liabilities on their balance sheets. It has done extraordinary damage to the crypto industry and cost untold millions in legal and consulting fees over the last 18 months. It was illegal from the start. The SEC should immediately withdraw SAB 121. If it does not, the GAO's analysis makes a slam dunk out of a lawsuit against the SEC alleging a violation of the APA's notice and comment requirement. A Blockchain Association will be watching closely to see what the SEC decides to do next. And don't you just feel so sorry for the SEC? They're just not getting away with anything in the courts. I mean, all they're trying to do is break the law and get away with it. All those poor little asshats at the SEC. But look, this was the inevitable outcome. I know these people have egos, the size of the universe. I understand that. So they couldn't see what we could see, which is that they're on the wrong side of the law, and the courts won't just let them get away with whatever the hell they want. And that is what we've seen. This is not a good year for the SEC from a legal perspective. Here's what Attorney John Deaton had to say about this. And he quoted the best part, frankly, which is, and this is from Jake Chervinsky, this is a clear statement from a federal agency that the SEC broke the law. Yeah, absolutely. And then Attorney Deaton says, ever since the Ripple lawsuit, the SEC has consistently not followed the law. A federal judge literally stated that the SEC's enforcement lawyers and the leadership they report to are not only hypocrites, but they also lack a faithful allegiance to the law, which, if you're in the XRP community, you're aware of that quote by now, right? That's the best quote from the entire Ripple lawsuit. And then Deaton says, it was an incredible statement for a federal judge to make. I was shocked at the little attention mainstream media paid to such a shocking statement. Here's what I can say with great conviction. Today, the SEC does more to hurt investors than it does to protect investors. It has become both an inept and corrupt organization, full stop. And here's the SBF update. There's a headline from Cointelegraph. That's fraud, prosecutors say in closing arguments at Sam Bankman-Fried trial. Sam Bankman-Fried's trial has entered the final stages, with the prosecution delivering its closing arguments in the case on November 1st. Closing arguments are the last opportunity for lawyers to convince the jury and judge that they should win the case. Prosecutors had previously estimated that their closing arguments would take up to 4 hours. Right afterward, Bankman-Fried's defense will also present its closing arguments. That's fraud. It's stealing, plain and simple. Before FTX, there was Alameda. Assistant United States Attorney Nicholas Roos reportedly told jurors, presenting one of the many charts the government used as evidence. The former CEO of FTX is facing 7 counts of fraud and conspiracy to commit fraud. Bankman-Fried could serve up to, and this is glorious, let's hope that this happens, Bankman-Fried could serve up to 115 years in prison if convicted. A jury of 12 will decide his fate in the coming days. Now, folks, I don't know what the sentence is going to look like. I don't pretend to know. But it's hard to imagine a jury not easily convicting Scam Bankman fraud for what he's done here. It should be super easy. Like, even before the trial, there was such abundant evidence. It would even back then have been hard to conceive it. And now we've seen more come out during the trial publicly. I mean, this guy, he doesn't deserve to be free ever again, as far as I'm concerned. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the jury decides. We'll see what once he's found guilty, which is what I believe will happen. We'll see, in terms of sentencing, what occurs here. But I'm very optimistic that justice shall be done. You would think at a minimum it would be decades, right? I mean, he destroyed people's lives. He did this to himself. He made these conscious decisions This guy's a narcissist, a sociopath. Yes, he deserves to be locked up forever. Piece continues. As part of the prosecution's case against Bankman-Fried, nearly 20 witnesses testified that he deceived investors, customers, and partners of FTX while commingling funds with Alameda Research. And here's a quote. The defendant set up two separate ways. If you believe even one of the three cooperators, the defendant is guilty. An unlimited line of credit just means unlimited money from FTX. Ellison told you. He directed us. Gary Wang said the same, end quote. The defense, on the other hand, tried to present Bankman-Fried as an entrepreneur who just made terrible mistakes in good faith. Denying accusations, he directed his inner circle to make political contributions and venture investments and purchase luxury real estate with customer funds. And folks, obviously this strains credulity. I mean, oops, I just spent a little few extra billions. I didn't know. I thought it was my profits. Are you kidding me? There's no way that he thought this. It is not possible that this man thought this thing. Bankman-Fried's defense faces a tough challenge in persuading jurors that he is innocent of the charges, as the government presented extensive evidence, including testimony from officials and law enforcement agents involved in the case. Roos continued, quote, the defendant marketed the liquidation engine, saying FTX was safe. He told Congress collateral must be placed on the platform itself, not just pledged. But the secret rules allowed Alameda to borrow billions without any risk of being liquidated, end quote. Bankman-Fried's trial started on October 3rd in the Southern District Court of Manhattan and has been ongoing since. You can follow Cointelegraph's coverage of the trial, then they provide a link. Here's what attorney John Deaton had to say about this. He shared a post from an account on social media platform X, and they were highlighting that Sam Bankman Fraud's defense team, they're putting forward what they said was an abysmal argument, stating that SBF was actually being bullied by the prosecution, making fun of his hair and the way he dresses, his appearance, so on and so forth. That's the claim that they were making. Well, here's what Attorney Deaton had to say about that. We all saw it grew so fast and all got away from me and I didn't intend to defraud people defense. But this type of argument is a huge mistake, and the consequences will show up when the judge hands down a sentence. To paint Sam a victim is a stupid rookie mistake, and I'm shocked Sam's lawyer would make it. It sounds like Sam wrote the closing and instructed his lawyer to argue it. It does kind of sound like that, doesn't it? Maybe it's like the lawyers are like, well, this guy's we're getting paid a little bit from SBF, and there's not a chance in hell we're going to win, so just whatever goes. Let's do a thing, and then it's over, and that's it. Maybe they literally don't care, because this does seem like the worst freaking possible argument. Who is going to fall for this? Now, on the flip side, since he's allegedly innocent, right? Isn't that what he says? He says he's innocent. I just, off the top of my head, I'm not sure what I possibly could argue. Because they are acknowledging that he did things he shouldn't have, but they're just saying it's an oops-a-doodles. So if you're going to go with the claim, no, he's not guilty, he didn't break the law, well, I don't know what else you are. So John Deaton's right. This is a piss-poor argument. I'm just saying, I don't know what a good argument would look like. Maybe there is one that I haven't conceived. That's certainly possible. If you have one, let me know in the comment section below, but I just don't know what that would look like. Then there was a separate post shared on X from an account that was highlighting the closing arguments of the prosecution in the FTX trial. And he said that they're just absolutely eviscerating SBF. Talking about how he's so smart, MIT graduate, meeting leaders of the world, but he just somehow didn't know that this happened. And so here's what Attorney Deaton said. Great way to close for the government. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Sam played everyone. He played Congress, politicians, former presidents, regulators, Hall of Fame quarterbacks and supermodels, venture capitalists, and some of the world's smartest investors. And finally, he played regular people, customers who trusted him with their life savings. He played everyone. He then took the stand because he thinks he can play you. But I think he's wrong. And I'm so looking forward to proving me right. Don't let him play you. Now that would be powerful. Because nobody wants to be the chump, and it's true. That's a fantastic argument. And don't you think that is what he did? In case you guys missed, SBF, he was on the stand, which is a risky move. But I can only imagine the ego on the sociopath is so gigantic that just like the asshats at the SEC, but perhaps SBF's is even bigger somehow. He just thinks that he could trick people because, I mean, that's what he did that for years, right? The whole time that he was running the gigantic FTX Ponzi scheme, he tricked everybody. So why couldn't he then do it here? He's probably undeservedly confident that he could. I don't know how that's going to trick the jury at knowing everything that they know. We'll see. And people don't tend to get away with things. In fact, this whole Safemoon thing. You guys remember the Safemoon cryptocurrency? I remember 2021 getting direct messages from people asking if I was investing in Safemoon. The answer was no. It's literally called, if you have to put safe in the name of the coin, I'm thinking it's probably not safe. That's going to be my starting point. You have to prove me, you have to convince to me that it's actually safe. Trustworthy. Can you imagine if it were called like trustworthy cryptocurrency? Oh, okay. I bet it's trustworthy. That's why you put the word trustworthy. Who are you tricking with this? Come on. So it was a rug pull, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with this Safemoon saga. And I've been following this for some time. Hadn't really talked about it. I can't remember for sure if I talked about it ever on my channel. I may have brought it up because it was so all over the place. It was everywhere you looked in 2021 for a time anyway. And CoffeeZilla, who has 564,000 followers on X and I think over 4 million subscribers or something like that on YouTube, he's been doing a great job covering this case for years. And he highlighted here, Safemoon creators indicted by the FBI, LFG, which of course stands for Let's Effin' Go. And then he wrote, I've been screaming about this fraud for 2 years now. So many people got burned on this scam, so it's vindicating to see justice finally coming. And so here's the headline from Cointelegraph. Safemoon executive team charged with multiple fraud counts. Arrests made. And so folks, can you see why I said at the outset of the video, this is the end of a garbage era. That's pretty much what this is when you're talking about the SEC or SBF, the SB, and then the Safemoon thing here. I mean, it's not the literal end of this because they just got arrested, but the writing's on the wall here, right? They did the thing. Anyway, piece reads as follows. The United States Securities and Exchange Commission announced on November 1st that it was charging Safemoon and 3 of its executives with fraud and unregistered security sales in connection with its Safemoon token. The Justice Department unsealed charges against the men at the same time. Now, folks, I will say this, as far as the SEC is concerned here, if all they did was go after the actual scams like Safemoon, we'd all be cheering them on. But that is not what they've broadly been doing as it pertains to the crypto asset class for years on end now. So I don't feel like giving them that much of an attaboy here, but it is what it is. Anyway, according to SEC allegations, Safemoon creator Kyle Nagy, CEO John Caroni, and Chief Technical Officer Thomas Smith withdrew assets worth $200 million from the project and misappropriated investor funds. The Justice Department is charging the men with conspiracy to commit securities fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and money laundering conspiracy. Now, I will say, it's always mind-blowing to me that these people that to commit these horrendous acts of theft, wrecking people's lives, you can only imagine the amount of lost sleep and stress that you're putting into these people's lives you're stealing from. But it's always, on top of that, astounding to me that these people actually think that they can get away with it, because so frequently it's like the amount of risk. It's amazing me there are people wired in such a way where they can steal this and then not lose a wink of sleep wondering of, I wonder if I left some sort of shred of evidence that I'm yet unaware of that will come back to bite me on the rear side. Do they really not worry about this? You steal $200 million and you actually think, yeah, I'm fine. I'm sure it's all locked up tight. And for some people, the answer is yes, they actually think that. These are disgusting people, obviously, here. If I would never do anything like this, obviously, but if I did, I wouldn't be able to sleep ever again. You know what I mean? I'd be wondering, when are they going to catch up with me? Find me out. Because there are always ways, almost always ways at least, to find out who did what. And oh, it sure happened here. Caroni and Smith have been arrested according to the Justice Department announcement, while Nagy remains at large. The SEC claimed marketing for Safemoon promised funds would be locked in the liquidity pool and not accessible to anyone, even the defendants, while in reality, much of the pool was not locked. That's right, folks. There was a locked pool of liquidity. It was claimed that, no, you can't take the money out of there. That's locked in there. That's a lock. Don't you know what a lock is? Idiot sticks. Except for it wasn't actually locked and there was a backdoor into it. Absolutely. And it was in the code. It was ultimately discovered. So check this out. U.S. Attorney Breon Peace said, quote, as alleged, the defendants deliberately misled investors and diverted millions of dollars to fuel their greedy scheme and enrich themselves by purchasing a custom Porsche sports car, other luxury vehicles, and real estate. End quote. Safemoon, described as a TikTok meme coin, gained 55,000% in value between March 12th and April 20th, 2021, to reach a capitalization of over $5 billion before plummeting when vulnerabilities were discovered in the code of a smart contract. According to the SEC, Caroni and Smith misappropriated funds to make Safemoon purchases to prop up its price. Caroni is also accused of wash trading. So there you go. They're gonna get theirs. Like, why do these people like, they wreck their own lives? Why even take on the risk? Even if you are the type of person that doesn't have any sort of moral issue with treating people horrifically and stealing from them, even if you're one of those people, why do you not have sufficient fear about wrecking your own life by getting caught? There are so many ways to make money in life. There's so much opportunity. And this is the route you've chosen to go. It's just, I know that there are people wired like this, but it's just, for me and the vast majority of humans, it's just impossible to relate with this type of behavior. So it brings me great joy to report that these people are screwed. They're absolutely screwed. Their lives are wrecked. And they should be. They absolutely should be. Stealing that much money, they should go to jail or prison for a very long time. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.